And we will call this meeting to order. If we could all please stand for the flag salute. Supervisor Simon, could you lead us?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Thank you.
I'm going to scoot over to
Thank you.
So I could be on
Okay, and now we will have our secretary read the M.A.T.H mission statement.
Yeah, my name is Ken, and the M.A.T.H mission statement. The Middletown Area Town Hall was formed to operate as a true town hall with everyone participating and voting. However, county officials required us to elect a board to conform with other county advisory committees. Our bylaws specify that the board makes decisions based on a vote of everyone present. The board encouraged all members to give their opinion and vote on every matter before the assembly.
Thank you, Ken. I hope everyone has had an opportunity to look at the agenda and received an agenda. I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Make it.
Second.
First.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so moved. So we'll move on to, we have two speakers here with us this evening, and this is all about roads. And what this is about is, of course, as all of you know who live here in Middletown, is we have a highway that runs right through the middle of our town. I believe you also know that we are working on updating both the Lake County General Plan and the area plans for Middletown, as well as the other areas throughout the county. So along with that planning, I thought it would be good, as we've talked about in the past, to have Caltrans here with us today and the County Public Works Department talking about the road situation, because that is a big part of our development as we move forward and impacts, of course, our community. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to, we have both Izzy and Jesse here from Caltrans representing District 1, and I'll turn this over to you and have you introduce yourself to us. Thank you.
All right. Okay, haven't spoken to the mic for a while, but how's that? Am I close enough? Too far away? Is that good? Okay. All right. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Izzy Canopa. I'm a project manager with Caltrans District 1. Work out of Eureka, and I'm a new project manager, and most of my projects are here in Lake County, so maybe we'll be getting to see more of each other. And so I got contacted by Monica, I can't remember, it was a few months ago, and she brought to my attention this plan, this engineered feasibility study that I think was done in 2014 that looked at this area of Highway 29 from Lower Lake to the county line, and it identified all these opportunities for safety and operational improvements. And Monica was like, hey, about this study, what's happening with all these sites? Because some of them, we've done some of the improvements, and we're working on some, and some have yet to be done. I'm going to talk about the ones tonight that are in progress. They're funded, they're in design, and they're going to be going into construction, in the somewhat near future. And then Jesse's going to talk about projects that are further out, more in the planning phase. So anyway, yeah, that's why we're here. And I'm going to start off by talking about 4 projects that we have that runs about from Lower Lake right into here to Middletown. And they're safety projects. And I don't know if you can see them or not, but this is kind of the scope of the region that they encompass. You can go ahead, go to the next slide, Jesse. And so this is the feasibility study that I was talking about. And on the right there, that's one area that some spots were identified in. There's another one that focuses on that little square, which is all in Middletown. And so some of the projects that I'm going to talk about were identified in this study, and I'll point those out. And next slide. Okay, so go ahead and click through until that brings in all the good stuff. Okay. Back one. Perfect. Oh, no, there you go. I know, PowerPoint, it's like you think it just goes one slide, but it like populates each text box, kind of clunky. So anyway, I'm going to talk about 4 projects. There's about $48 million of capital costs between them, and they're going to be going to construction between 2026, 2028. They're mostly safety projects, so we initiate a safety project when there's a traffic study that indicates a higher than average amount of collisions on a certain stretch of highway. And so these projects, they're prioritized. We prioritize safety projects at Caltrans, and so they're on a faster, which for government, fast is 4 years. And that's the fast track for these projects. So from the time they get funded to the time we list them, we put them out to bid, that's 4 years. So, yep, next slide. The first one I'm going to talk about is C Street, which is the street off of 29 that services, I believe it's Twin Lakes. And anyway, this was identified as an area of like higher than average amount of collisions. And so what we're proposing to do here is we're putting in a left turn channelization into the street. So it's going to be about a 500-foot long left turn pocket and then an acceleration lane coming out back on Highway 29 for people coming out of C Street. So the project's going to widen the roadway on both sides, put that left turn lane in, and make it safer for everybody. And go ahead and go on the next slide. Oh yeah, sorry. So here's a little more details about it. This should be going into construction summer 2026. It's going to cost about $2 million. And I think the next slide is a cross section. Yeah, so that's, you can see on top is what it's going to look like when it's done, and on the bottom is the existing. We're just going to widen it, keep the shoulder widths the same, and the travel lanes the same, and then just add that left turn lane. So that's a pretty simple one. And the next one. Okay, so this one is mostly a paving project. It's going to repave 29 from post mile 11, about 12 to 23, upgrade some guardrails. But the Lake APC reached out to us about this area at Bell Avenue as another area that could use some safety improvements. So we added this to the project, and it's going to be a left turn lane, just like the one at C Street. And there's also a pedestrian path at Bell Avenue, not the same intersection, but Bell Avenue where it intersects in Lower Lake, right at the intersection of 53 and 29. So you can go to the next slide. So that one's going into construction summer 2026. It's got a project cost of about $25 million, which is mostly the pavement, but that safety component I thought would be of interest to people. So next slide. And that's the little pedestrian path and a little bit of ADA work. And next slide. And then this is where that left turn lane is going to go into Bell Avenue. And next slide. Okay, so this one is called Middletown North Safety because it's just north of Middletown. You click a few, Jesse, it'll bring in some more details. Okay, so this one it's a safety project. It's to prevent crossover collisions in this area. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna widen the whole road. We're gonna create a soft median, which that's basically space. It's gonna be a 4-foot space in between the two lanes with a centerline rumble strip and then wider shoulders. The shoulders now are about 2 to 4 feet, and they're gonna be a standard 6-foot from St. Helena Drive to, I think that says Grange Road, yep. And so anyway, you can see there, it's gonna go construction summer 2028, be about $11.5 million. And if you go to the next slide, there's a typical section. You can see in this particular portion of the project, there's gonna be some cutting. That green dash line is the existing ground, and the solid black is the proposed finish grade. So there'll be some cutting and some filling to basically give us that 4-foot median and then the 6-foot shoulders, and that's that project. It's pretty simple. If you go to the next slide, there's a layout, and that's pretty complicated and hard to read, so we can move on past that one. That one kind of makes, okay, and this one I thought you'd be most interested in because it's right through Middletown, and we're calling this Middletown South Safety. It's going to go to construction summer 2027 of about $8 million. And this is going to consist of shoulder widening, left turn channelization, a 2-way left turn lane. There's going to be curb ramps, about 1,200 feet of new sidewalk, new lighting, rectangular rapid flashing beacons, those PED beacons that you see. And so I'll go into more detail in this one. If you want to go to the next slide. So here's the layout. It's going to start, I think that is, I had notes, so it sounds smart, but I think this is Central Park Road it starts at. Does that sound right? That is a road here. Okay, it goes to the end of Young Street. So that's the extent of the project. Go to the next slide. Okay, so this is the first little section. It's just gonna be widening on both sides. This is from about Central Park Road to just before Lake Street, I believe. And we're just widening the roadway here. And next slide. And then this section, we're going to widen just on the west side of the road to avoid St. Helena Creek. And we're going to put in a new left turn lane into Lake Street. And then we're going to lengthen the left turn lane that goes into Hill. And next slide. Okay, and then this goes from Hill to just south of, I think it's Calliope. Okay, yeah, and so this is where we're going to be putting in a two-way left turn lane. It's that 12-foot lane in the middle where cars can, pull in and then turn to the left if they're going one way, turn to the left if they're going the other way. And let's see, what else here? Still going to be widening the shoulders. And next slide. And this is the section that goes through town. So this starts at Calliope Street, goes all the way to Young Street. On the top, you can see the existing configuration, and on the bottom is the proposed. And so what we're proposing to do is narrow the existing travel lanes from 12 foot to 11 foot, and this is all to make room for that two-way left turn lane. And the existing on-street parking is anywhere from, it looks like 7 to 15 feet. We're going to shrink that down to between 7 and 8 feet of parking space, and then we're going to add new sidewalk and curb ramp between Calliope Street and, can you read my notes, Jesse? Where do we go to? Armstrong Street, I believe. Yeah, and then there's a section on the north side of 29, and I believe that is goes from Armstrong down to Young Street, but that's just on the north side. There's just going to be a little section there that doesn't have any sidewalk yet.
It's State Route 175.
Okay, so it's from the 175 intersection to Young Street. And then we're also adding some other stuff, so I've got some layouts here where I can show you that. So if you go to the next slide. Okay, so this is that first cross-section and layout view that I showed you where we're just widening the roadway on both sides. And that's Central Park Road. And go to the next slide. And here's the new left turn lane into Lake Street, the extension of the left turn lane into Hill. And then as you can see, as you come around the corner there, right across from the deli, that's where that two-way left turn lane is going to start. And there's going to be a crosswalk there with lights and with those flashing beacons. And then the two-way left turn lane goes all the way through town to Young Street, as you can see. And next slide. And then it's hard to see, but at Calliope Street, there's that light gray coloring on the sidewalk. That shows you all the new sidewalk. And there's bulb outs at Calliope and Douglas on both sides. So that'll shorten the crossing distance for pedestrians, make it safer, less street for them to cross. And there's also going to be some more rectangular rapid flashing beacons at Armstrong Street. And I need my glasses. That'll help things. I'm in denial about my vision. All right, and let's see. So, and then we're replacing the traffic signal at 175, and that's. Sorry. Well, yeah, replacing it, but it's gonna be the same, but it's new, upgraded. Yeah. And then I think that's really the gist of the work through Middletown here. So I'm eager to hear any feedback that you might have. if you're interested in giving me some comments. We're still in the design phase, so, oh yeah.
Excuse me real quick, you do have comments or? Okay, if you do have comments or questions, please come right up here to this mic to ask your comments or make your comments or questions.
Okay.
Thank you. Annette?
I'm okay? Okay. That looks great, although I don't see anything about south of town, which is where I live, and I drew up a little map. And I wanted, two-part question, I wanted to find out what we can do about all the accidents and the traffic on Highway 29. I live at Mirabel. Just before Hildebrandt is when the double yellow line stops, and that's when everybody starts passing, whether there's double yellow or one yellow on one side starts passing. There were 3 deaths in front of my house last year. There were more the previous year. And what we can do, is it possible to get a double yellow line that goes all the way into town? And the second part of my question is, and you identified it up there, when it goes from 45 to 30, I'm not placing any blame, but most of the commuters do not slow down from that 45. They continue going 45 through town, especially on Friday nights when we have the market, the farmer's market, and we're just waiting to see somebody hitting the crosswalk. So is there a way that we can start that 45 before where you have it, and somehow have more signage that shows that it's 30 miles through town? And I've made a habit of, when I get somebody on my tail going through town, because I'm going 30 and I'm watching for people trying to cross, so I stop, or I slow down to 25 to make them go slower, because I'm tired of the accidents, just the speeding, the passing over the double yellow lines. It's just waiting for more. And that happened to me the other night. Single line, and then that person passed on the double. So they passed 2 cars in one swoop. And it's just scary, and I'm tired of screaming in my car.
Yeah, I totally understand. I see drivers doing that where I'm at too, and it's pretty frustrating and scary. Yeah, I will take that back. That's this messing around, moving speed limits around. That's a process that, you know, takes some effort. But I know people to talk to, and I can like bring that up. And I don't know if you wrote something down there, like the schematic of the streets and whatnot.
I just kind of did a rough map. Showing
Okay,
you-
yeah, maybe I could.
Showing
Maybe I
where.
could copy that down before I leave, so I can.
Sure, sure.
Yep. Yep, I'll definitely take notes and look into that and have it put in consideration.
you.
Yeah.
South of town is pretty much ignored.
So down the center of town, you want to put, if I understood correctly, my name's Linda. My name's Linda Deal-Darms. My question is, going down Main Street, Highway 29, through town, if I understood correctly, you want to put a center. There's enough room for people to park and do that there between the sidewalks?
Yeah,
I was just curious because it seems like it's not that wide to be adding a center.
So I'm not the designer, but the designers have looked at like a survey and whatnot and done the calculations, and apparently there's enough, the on-street parking right now is wide enough that it could be shrunk down to a standard width, and then the through lanes can be reduced to 11 foot, and between those two adjustments, that will give us enough room for the 12-foot lane.
And would there still be a bike lane?
Still be a bike lane, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Monica Rosenthal, could you explain a little bit also about this narrowing of the lanes and what impact that has, that you see as from Caltrans on drivers as far as their speed?
I don't have like that's not my area of expertise, but I know from seeing a lot of these projects that narrowing does tend to slow drivers, and so that could be a benefit as well.
Good evening, Terry Hoberg. So
I just want to understand the center turn lane down Calistoga, which is Highway 29. Will the turn lane make it up to the 175 intersection? So there'll be a turn?
Yeah, it'll go
Lane.
all the way through town to Young Street
Okay.
by the market down there.
Okay. And I know as a driver, we're all supposed to be observant what's around us, but going back to the speed limit signs as posting, I know that 45 before you hit like Perry's Deli, I don't know if you're familiar with town there.
A little bit.
The 30 mile an hour sign is on the left. As a driver, I usually look for that in my lane, on my right
Okay.
side.
Good point.
Hi, Izzy?
Mhm.
Tom Grossi is my name. Hey, I applaud the effort to have these left turn lanes to mitigate some of the speed as people go around those that are turning left. But I noticed the flaw in that there aren't any plans for roundabouts, which I think have been successful. The one in Hartman, the one in 20. Is there a study about putting more of those? And that also slows drivers down.
Jesse's going to talk about that. There was another roundabout area,
Is there?
not, it's further out of town, but I believe, anyway. Butts
Okay.
Canyon Road, yeah. Yep.
the casino too.
Okay, Izzy.
Thank you.
Hi, Helen Owen,
Hi, Helen.
and I'm wondering, my only real concern was with reducing to the minimum, the parking area, is people getting out of their cars if they're right next to the traffic that's going through.
I think the bike lane, if you go back a couple, maybe just more to the last cross section. So it looks like the bike lane will be in
Right
between.
next to that, they'll
Yeah.
be stepping out in the bike lane,
Yep.
okay, so that's a little better. The other thing I was thinking was, Annette, the 30 mile an hour sign that's on the wrong side, perhaps do the flashing lights so it gets people on the right side of the road, the correct side.
You mean like the flashing beacon
Yeah.
or around the,
Yeah, where it changes from 45 to 30, if there was something to grab their attention more.
okay. I know
before
we're,
the stick.
More signs too.
More signs, yeah. Over here where she had said it was on the wrong side, but they're seeing the 45, but they're not hitting the second sign that says 30. They're not catching that and slowing down to 30. And so I was thinking maybe a sign that grabbed their attention more, like where it flashes 30, 30, you know?
okay. That's a good idea, thank you.
Hi, my name is Robert. One concern on the flashing lights that you were talking about, we need those all the way through town, not just in one area. Every single crosswalk needs one. I've been stuck in the middle of the road, having one car go one way and one going the other way. It happens multiple times for our community. It needs to be addressed, is one. And then my other thing is the bathroom issue, so if I need to wait for the park part of it, I'll come back to that. But yeah, we need flashing lights, just like they got in Santa Rosa. Push button, lights blink.
At each intersection, you're,
And I think everybody that knows Middletown that has crossed these crosswalks would agree, we do need them.
okay. Thank you, yeah, I'll bring that
All
back
right,
to.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Robert.
Julia Bono, I just want to second the flashing lights at the crosswalk thing. So
Okay.
it's not just one person, it's multiple people, and, you know.
So just make sure I'm hearing it right, like, so right now, I think we have McCalliomi and Armstrong, but you like McDouglas and I think
And
the
also
175?
Thinking about
All of them.
a crosswalk at 175 and Bush Street. There's an unmarked crosswalk there, and a lot of the cars do stop, but without a real proper crosswalk, there are cars that don't, so.
Okay, thank you, yeah.
I'm the other Lisa.
And Lisa.
And I think it might be advantageous if we got law enforcement to maybe ticket people when they are breaking the law coming through town, going too fast. Because typically you do not see them getting 175 people coming in way too fast, or 29. And that might help.
I can pass that on to our friends at CHP for sure.
They don't really respond, it seems like. You see them sitting on your highway, but they're not doing anything.
Are there any other questions, comments? Okay, go ahead.
The only thing to add on to, because it came up after, with the flashing lights at every crosswalk, it's just a question, how's that gonna work with the flow of traffic, people getting home?
You push the button, the light comes on. Who cares about the minging?
We need to just speak at the mic. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dave Stoneberg.
Hey, Dave.
North of downtown Middletown, the shoulders are so narrow. I'm a cyclist, and I'm right on those white lines, if not a little bit more into the traffic lane, because they're right up against the mountain. How much of those mountains are you going to move? How wide is that path going to be? I know it won't be a full bike path because you'd move so much dirt. I mean, there's just, is there going to be?
So I don't know. So one of the projects that I talked about tonight was from St. Helena Drive to Grange. Is
Right.
that the area you're? Okay,
Yes.
yeah. So that should that stretch should have a 6 foot wide shoulder, which would be your bike lane.
Wow, that'd be cool.
Yep.
I'm Charlie. I live south of county, and one of the most dangerous choke points is actually right there by the casino, because there's just a lot of people coming and going, and they got to cross the traffic on the way. I mean, I constantly just hit my flashers to let them know I'm coming and I'm not slowing down, because they will hit. And I was wondering, is there going to be, I mean, it seems to be that we're a victim of our own success, because we got good jobs now at the casino, but we have a hell of a lot of people coming in, and they're using that area between the casino and the Lake County line. And it's, you know, it's an accident waiting to happen. She mentioned something about Hildebrand. I was literally sitting still, waiting to make a left turn, and a guy decided to pass, and he broadsided me, and I was just lucky to get out of it with just a concussion. So it's really bad, and they're coming really hard, and they're coming really fast. I mean, they like the cheap gas, and they like to get that money in their pocket, but if they're late for work or something, they're hauling ass. So, yeah, just a key point that if there's something we can do to slow them down a little bit until they get to the Napa side of the line, I'm happy.
Yeah, I hear your point. We had dinner tonight at the casino, and coming out was a little sketchy. So I'll bring that up to our traffic safety people.
20 or something, there's a lot.
Yeah, my name is Mike Kamamoto, and I'm assuming that when you do all this construction, you communicate with CHP to make them aware of when the construction is taking place and when it's scheduled to be ending. Please be aware that when PG&E was last doing its construction just north of the casino, and I called CHP, they had no idea when the construction would come to an end. So you got to do something a little bit better for us commuters that, you know, go frequently down to the Bay Area. Okay? Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Hi, I would like to second the bike lanes north of town. So the other thing I wanted to bring up, which is kind of a cross between Caltrans, the highway, and the county roads, so I just want to bring this up now so that you're both aware of it. But we have a walking path that was put in from Central Park to the casino. And I'm just wondering what's going to happen with that trail at the intersections, and more specifically at the Dry Creek intersection, which is kind of at a slant. And currently, cars are used to coming from the south, and exiting onto Dry Creek at a rather fast rate of speed, and to the point where sometimes they don't even do the turn correctly. They'll move into that intersection on the wrong side of a car that may be parked there trying to get out and make a north turn onto Highway 29. So anyway, so just with that path that's there now, I'm just wondering, you know, that we're encouraging more walking and biking along that path. Just want to make sure those intersections are safe from the cars coming off the highway going on to the county roads.
Thank you. It's me, Terry, again. Again, I think the point of the intersection at the Twin Pine Casino, I mean, it's a popular spot, and thank goodness we have all the benefits of that, but I see it turning into nasty situations. There's a little bit of a blind spot sometimes if you got somebody taking a right turn, somebody trying to take a left and straight traffic. There's been some skid marks. So that's hopefully something that will be addressed or you'll be able to make note of. Question would be, this is major construction, a lot of it, like if you're the north of town, there's some serpentine cuts, which I imagine they'll have to cut back hillsides and so forth. So timing wise for that, will some of this work be done at night, do we know? Or, because I mean, as I'm sure as you know, the studies show that we got a lot of commuters, a lot of people that go through town, and there's not really ways to detour around the construction.
I don't hold me to this, but I remember in the kickoff meeting we had for this, our traffic operations person, I believe he said this was going to be night work for that particular stretch. And I just want to clear up too on the bike lane, 6 foot, that's a shoulder. Right. Okay, not a, yeah, I just want to make sure. Yes, exactly. Yep.
There is no shoulder now.
Correct. Yeah.
Thank you,
Yep.
Izzy.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions from the audience for Izzy? Go. Yep.
Moke Simon, District 1 Supervisor. Welcome. Haven't met you in person yet.
Hey, Moke.
You know, so at least maybe on Zoom or something else. But
Yep.
First of all, I want to thank Caltrans, but I also want to thank M.A.T.H in the community. If you guys remember, in 2014, this project started. We met down in the gym. So a lot of this coming to fruition has been a long time at work, and you're right. Government works slow. Believe me, I hear that as much as you guys hear it. But this is some great improvements as we're starting, and this is just the first step. That corridor study was very important as we were moving through the process. We got a roundabout that works, and now everybody wants roundabouts, which I think is good too. It does slow and traffic calm as we move forward. But as we evolve as a community, each one of these things are brought up through the LTA and APC, which I sat on. I also sat on the South Deal Committee with Caltrans. Each one of these issues that are brought up here today, I bring up every meeting and continue to push. Flashing, blinking lights all the way through town. Bulb outs to slow down the traffic. We do need a roundabout at the casino. When we did this, it wasn't added in there as a safety project. Still, I'm always fighting for the tribe to be part of the community and the town to start there. I'm gonna get it before they put me back in the ground. And that could be a good process of that, because that'd be a great place for a welcome to Middletown sign right on top of that roundabout. So as we move forward, we'll do that, and I will let you know, the tribe, we're always thinking 20 years down the road. We know something. I've already brought it up at the Tribal Summit last year with our District 1 Supervisor. We'll work on those, and I'll find federal dollars, not asking for anything from the county or something like that. I'll work directly with the state and the Fed. So we're moving forward with that. This is a great starting project. We got a bunch of stuff going on. The bike lanes are really important, obviously. We need another path out to Trailside Park. All these things for long-term projects are already being talked about, being put on dots. The Bell Lane came up for the emergency project, and we have had Caltrans out. Please take your time when you're going in and out of the casino there. You know what we did, and I've already brought it up to Caltrans. When you go off the road, there a big truck will hide a little car. Take your time, be patient, and you'll get where you need to go. So we'll keep working on these things. I know I'm in my term on January 7th, but we'll continue to push these things. I have monthly meetings, quarterly meetings, and we'll continue to do that. And you guys know, I'm not quiet, so even when I'm not on the board, still be pushing for these opportunities, hopefully through the tribal voice for the county. So just wanted to say that on this, and I know we got some other projects that they're gonna talk about. But thank you, Caltrans, thank you, Math, for getting us to this point and all the community members.
Excuse me, I want you to do it before I get put in the ground.
I don't know your house status, but.
My name is Fletcher Thorns, and I have a question regarding the bulb outs at the corner. How far out are those bulb outs going to come? Do you know?
I don't know exactly.
And are the bike lanes going to go through the bulb outs, and continue through the bulb outs, or will they have to go around them?
That's a great question. I can get back to you on that if you want to give me your contact info.
Sure.
Okay.
That's important because where that is will be a great traffic calming, those bulb outs, if they come out far enough. But if they come out too far, you won't be able to have bike lanes unless you run it through the bulb outs.
Right. No, that's a great point. I'll connect with you after the meeting
All right,
here. That's great. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, and for that question also, if you could just send your comments, I mean, of course, you can send it to Mr. Thornton as well, but if you would also copy our secretary so that the entire membership also can be part of that answer. Anybody else have a question for Izzy? Because if not, we're ready to put Jesse in the hot seat.
Oh, good.
Hi, Danny Wind. I'm Town Hall crashing. I'm from Lakeport.
Name?
Danny Wind. This should be an easy one. What's the improvements on those intersections look like? What do those improved intersections look like? You know, I know we hear a lot of roundabouts seem like a good idea. I know that with 175, there's kind of a weird angle there that might make it difficult for trucks, but I definitely know by the school, one of the biggest things with signalized intersections is that you have pedestrians waiting for their turn, essentially, and I don't know if anyone else has noticed this, but high schoolers are really impatient. They don't like to wait for those signs, so obviously rapid rectangular flashing beacons are good, but I'm wondering on like what kind of pedestrian priority there is with those like signalized intersections, if you know of anything off your head.
I don't know if they have anything at the signalized intersection beyond just the crosswalk and the new sidewalk and the rapid rectangular flashing beacons. But I can check with our design folks and I can get back to you, easy.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Charlie again. I was doing the math while you were talking. There's like $40 million for the projects. How much of that's going to be awarded local, and how can a young person, and so we can get a next generation out there working their butts off on the street, how can they get into the contract part of it? I don't want to go too deep into this. I just want to know who I can send them to call and say, hey, maybe there's a future for you in Lake County. 'Cause we lose our best and brightest all the time to some other place.
Like someone looking to work on the
Yeah,
as just a
to get
laborer.
a contract, labor, jobs for labor, be a contractor, paving company, whatever they decide to do.
So the project will go out to bid and it'll go to the lowest bidder, and then whoever their employees are going to be the ones that'll do the work. So I mean, just the local.
So when it goes out to bid, how do you guys put that out there?
It's advertised.
Advertised?
I think I'm not sure, but I think it goes in the paper, and there's some bidding sites that contractors are aware of, and so it gets circulated among all the people who are in the know.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I met a young man who wanted to be a CEO someday, so I'm trying to figure out how to get him to be one.
Yeah, that's great. We'd love to have him come and work.
Hi, this is Robert again. I have a question for the signal light at store 24. I do have the guy's number, but there's a problem with the light staying green when there's no traffic. Like if you're coming off the side street, this one's green, or this one's red and that one's green, but it needs to be upgraded.
Which light is that?
Store 24. Warlock. Thank you. And it's really a problem. When I used to work graveyards, I'd come off that street. I actually had to run the red light no cars around. But it shouldn't be that way. The one guy did come in and change the circuit board and work for a little bit, but it's still having that issue. I think all these need to be upgraded, especially that one because it is a school intersection and that button gets pushed like this daily, and we know who does that. And so I'd like to see some kind of upgrade and monitored on that one.
Okay,
I
yeah.
think it would be really good, you know, especially because there's a school right there.
Yeah, it might be a timing issue with the programming.
He already replaced the board and then it did it again. Anyway, I know I only got 3 minutes, so
Okay.
I'll let the next
I'll bring it up to our traffic electrical.
Okay. Izzy and Jesse, you guys ready to trade places?
Sure.
I like Izzy.
Jesse's way better at talking than me.
Thank you.
Should have advanced it to the starting point here. So thank you for having me. My name is Jesse Robertson. I'm a senior transportation planner in District 1 in the Office of System Planning and Local Development Review. Can you guys all hear me? A little closer. How about that? So I took over this position in March when my previous supervisor, Rex Jackman, retired. He'd done a lot of the planning work. I think he may have worked with the contractors who put together the engineered feasibility study back in 2014. I think some of you have probably worked with him. That study I took a look at, I think Izzy had a photo or two from that early in the slide deck, and that looked like a pretty comprehensive plan. So kudos to you guys. You know, I thought you guys got a very good product out of that. So you know, that has quite a bit of a large number of recommendations that go, you know, above and beyond what we typically see in a lot of those studies. So you can advance it there. I'll give you a little history of some of the planning efforts that we've done in the Middletown area to date. The last transportation concept report that we did, which is one of our internal documents to Caltrans, it was completed back in 2013, and currently we're in the process of updating all of those plans. So that plan was done prior to that 2014-2015 engineered feasibility study. That continues to provide a lot of good information for Caltrans, and I think Izzy looked at that pretty closely when he was working on some of those projects, and I thought Caltrans did a pretty good job of using some of those prior studies to further some of your goals. So in 2020, Caltrans went with a kind of a revised way of preparing route concept reports or transportation concept reports for state highways. We're now preparing these corridor management plans, which have a slightly different emphasis. I think we're looking at building more multimodal facilities, highways, and we look beyond just the state highway right-of-way to see where other opportunities may exist to provide you know, more safe and comfortable features like the Class 1 bike path down there between the Rancheria and the south end of Middletown. So, you know, where there's opportunities for transit, we look to incorporate those. We try to work with the transit agencies. So part of it acknowledges Caltrans' kind of new direction in not trying to necessarily build our way out of congestion, which is good for multimodal facilities, but it makes it difficult to get funding for highway capacity improvements. We could talk a little bit about that more here in a minute. But these plans, the corridor management plans, they have a 20-year planning horizon. That engineered feasibility study has enough work in it probably to take us to 20 years and potentially beyond. And so recognizing that
there are a host of issues that could be advanced. We try to establish what the ultimate concept would be for that route. What do we want it to look like in the long term? And then, as we get funding, we could kind of cobble together those improvements in pieces. So it takes a long time to get projects through the project development phase. We have this little flow chart that guides us. It's about a 14-step process, the project development process, how Caltrans builds projects. These corridor management plans are thought to be about step one, where we identify potential project needs. Recognizing also that State Route 29, the last transportation concept that was done for it was 2013. It is slated to be updated. I think the first corridor management plan that we did in District 1 was the principal arterial corridor, which is State Route 20, 29, 53, and 20, from the Lake County line to the Colusa County line. So those plans, we're preparing them in a GIS, which is a geographic information system. It's a kind of an electronic cartography platform. So we're putting these plans together with this mapping software that calls out specific portions of the route, and then it has a narrative component, and it talks about a lot of different things that our engineers use to put into their project reports and their project study reports, and use to help aid the design of those routes. So I think we've been taking about a year to go through those corridor management plans to develop one of those. It's a little bit more labor intensive, pulling in all the data that will be used. And we'd like to speed up that process, but at this point we don't have a date set yet for when we'll come back to this southern segment south of Lower Lake for Lake 29. But just hearing the number of concerns, I'd like to make it a priority to speed that one up. One of the things that we saw with COVID was that the construction costs and with the supply chain issues that we saw drove up some of the project costs. So there are cost estimates in that engineered feasibility study. Some of those need to be updated, but just for your reference, some of those last roundabouts that we built on Lake 20 were $5 to $6 million range. So, some of those projects that Izzy's working on are, $11 million. And our safety program is one of those funding sources that actually can help deliver something of that size, but they tend to be larger projects. They can take some time to develop. So I noticed that there was a lot of roundabout concepts out there at some of these intersections, and delivering them all is just going to take a while. So Moak, I'm sorry about your timeline that you set for us, but we're happy to work with you. I think I remember that the turn lane project that we did cooperatively. So yeah. So in the interim, since some of these plans were created, we did use safety funds to build the roundabout at Hartman Road, excuse me. We also put in that Class 1 pathway from Rancheria Road to Pine Street. That was actually a grant application that I wrote when I worked for the Lake Area Planning Council back in 2015, and was awarded for $1.4 million. The engineered feasibility said $2 million. I don't know if you got a bargain out of that or not, but I'm glad to see that it's finally in place there. It took a while. And then Butts Canyon Road, we've been working with the County of Lake to condition the Gwenock project to the Maha Resort to fund the roundabout at Butts Canyon Road in 29. I'm not sure what the status is, but it's something that we have reasonable hopes and expectations that would be something that the development might pay for. If it doesn't, we can, I think Caltrans thinks that area probably is one of those intersections, especially if there's development out there, that is probably going to be one of the more immediate locations for roundabouts. I appreciate hearing about some of the local input, and we can look at some of these other locations as well. But in terms of strategizing how we use some of these funds, that's it's good to kind of hear the local expertise, what you guys think about the current operating conditions. Before this meeting, I did look at traffic volumes over the last 10 years from 2013 to 2021. And I think with all of the fires, I think there's been a lot of disruption, but I think, in terms of growth, that doesn't really stand out as a way to help necessarily prioritize. I think it's kind of, where the specific projects are being located. I think that's one way to kind of target where some of these improvements may be placed. But I think Caltrans typically works with the County of Lake, and we work with their planning department to look at new development, and that's one of the ways that we sometimes can identify where those improvements should be placed, where those transportation dollars should be invested. So you can go to the next slide. And also, since 2015, there have been some changes to the transportation funding landscape. I think in 2021, we had a new federal reauthorization bill, which is, usually a 5-year federal budget for transportation investments. Occasionally they'll be extended for a limited number of years until they can negotiate what the new priority is, where federal dollars should be invested. So we had the IJA, the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, which directs kind of where the federal funds get spent. We have the historic state highway account, where state sales tax on gasoline is directed towards both the STIP and the SHOP. The SHOP is where our safety funds come from. So I think in Lake County, that's a big source of some of the projects that are funded by Caltrans. I think in 2017, Senate Bill 1 was passed, and that bill was a sales tax on gasoline increase, and that focused state highway investment on roadway maintenance. It looked at planning for or building new multimodal facilities. So it also kind of dovetails with that federal authorization bill, the IJA, Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, where it's trying to look at other alternatives to building the state's way out of congestion. And then lastly, I mentioned it earlier, development impact fees. Those are other sources of funds that we can use to build some of these improvements that you guys have identified. Next slide. There is a kind of a network. I think Moke Simon, he'll be able to tell you about that. But the County of Lake, we work with them, in the design, the funding and construction of projects. The Lake Area Planning Council, they receive a lot of state funds. The STIP is funding source for new capacity projects, and 75% of the STIP funds are sent out to regional transportation agencies like APC, and then they help program state investments on state highways. So Caltrans, we have some of our own funding sources. We have a portion of the STIP that we call the ITIP, which unfortunately applies to State Route 20. It doesn't apply to this segment of the State Route 29. And then Middletown Rancheria, they've been a big partner with Caltrans in the past, and I think we've had a lot of good successes in working with them. So we hope to continue that trend there. So next slide. so I know that you guys provided a laundry list of needs to Izzy, and I would say that a lot of those things typically get asked of me, and I think those are the types of concepts that we try to address when we put together some of these plans. We I think in the corridor management plan that, we'll get to eventually, we'll probably come back to you guys and ask once again to see what your priorities are. Tonight there's also an opportunity to go and look to, some of these new funding sources that have only recently become available, and see, how those funds could be applied to this community. There's a peculiar thing that some of you may be aware of when it comes to transportation funding, but a lot of times there's pretty tight strings attached to those funds, and it really limits where Caltrans can put those transportation funds, those transportation dollars to work. And that's one of the reasons why Caltrans has to kind of pick and choose, what funds are available for us to spend in this, along this route, and for these facilities, based on the way they operate or other characteristics. So anyway, so we will be coming back to you guys at some point, and in the interim, there may be some things that we can look into. I know we have some proactive safety funds that get allocated to us. I don't know if it's every year or every other year, but those would be opportunities for us to look towards systematic issues along the route, and it could be crossing locations, speed feedback signs. I noticed that there's a lot of those in the engineered feasibility study, but usually people send me their laundry list of improvements, and then we see what we can do with those. So at that, I'll just open it up to questions again. I think we have a pretty good head start, but if there's anything you'd like more information on, feel free.
My question is for the Robert, sorry.
No.
My question is for the underground that they're doing right now for the fiber optics. When are they gonna repave that stretch of highway that they're tearing up? We need to know that, because, and it is confusing too, because the way they're not using asphalt, they're using a different material, so it's kind of red-ish material. So it's kind of confusing. I mean, for somebody that has, a problem with that, but it's just like on Butts Canyon when they did that for PG&E. It's still a mess. But this is a major highway, and is it gonna be repaved? And do you have a time frame? Because everything so far from here past the casino is underground right now to 175. Right now they're setting the Christie boxes in where the connections are. Okay, so do we have a time frame of that they're gonna repave our road? Or do anything about it until they do other stuff? Is it gonna wait until we do the bike lanes? Are we talking years, months, weeks?
That's a specific question. I can give you a general answer. I don't.
A year?
I don't know if Izzy has any specifics on that particular project.
I
But
know the guy who's managing the broadband projects, and I can ask him.
Okay, yeah, because it does need to be addressed. And especially, we're gonna start getting into winter months, and it's gonna be really confusing, and it is bumpy in some areas. They've tried to smooth some of them out, but it's just like what they did on Butts Canyon. It's just a patch, and a patch don't last for very long with the amount of traffic that goes over that mountain. Thank you.
I was before him, but Nanette, that's okay. You brought up the pathway Rancheria to Pine Street, and my concern is that when traffic backs up going into town, people are using that as a little pathway to drive their vehicles, and I bugged Moke about it. He didn't have an answer. When are the posts going to go up to block the traffic? I watched the highway patrol pull someone over for doing it, but it's still happening.
Any
That's a good
idea?
question. I don't have, I wasn't unfortunately involved with the construction side. You know, the planning staff, you know, they're at the early stages. We kick stuff off to the design teams who prepare the projects for construction. So you know, some of these questions that were asked to Izzy, I would struggle to provide a, you know, a specific answer, but we, you know, we can definitely take
It's
those
been
questions back.
finished for probably 3 months, and those poles haven't gone up, and so people just, oh, traffic's backed up. Okay, I'll take the shortcut. And pedestrians are walking. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, thanks for coming. My name's Rosemary. So I was noticing when those studies were done, and it said 2015. Do you know if that was before or after the Valley Fire?
Before?
It was probably before, because,
So, you know, my concern is that the decisions you're making are also informed, as I was looking at your list of government collaborators. I didn't see CAL FIRE on there. And for us, you know, obviously this is a major corridor for evacuation, and during the Valley Fire, it was one lane, and then it took a long time till they could get it, so it was all going out, you know, traffic was being stopped. And one tree down on that road would trap many people in this community. And, you know, we all think about what happened in Paradise. And just beyond the casino, we have neither fire hydrants nor cell phone service. So we're not able to even report out up until you get to the top of the mountain. We wouldn't even be able to say there's a tree down. So I wonder if you're collaborating with CAL FIRE and, you know, just the major evacuation route.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I think it probably varies from county to county, location to location. But yes, we certainly have worked with CAL FIRE. Thank you. Thank you for that input.
I'm the other Lisa again, and I want to thank you for the bike lane, and any more you can put anywhere would be fantastic.
Great.
And low cost.
Oak Simon, District 1 Supervisor. So when we had the conversation, we said that the ballards and other things that will go up to keep the road off is when the project's completed. It's not completed yet. See, there's unpaved parts, there's some other safety projects along the road. We've reported that to, you know, Dan Fansler, our CHP commander, you know, so definitely. So when Mr. March goes up and we work through that, we'll work through the process at the county level to make sure that folks aren't going on there with their vehicles. Now you're gonna have Can-Ams, most likely you'll have the electric bikes, some other stuff, horses, those types of things. But when the project's finished, I know we'll come up with an option, and whether it's pretty ballards or it's boulders or it's something, there'll be something put there to make sure that the safety of the community is, you know, number one. Because we have a lot of folks using that thing, so we're going to get that done. And I know we're working hard at the county level to get it completed. I know some work has been done, and Mr. March will probably, you know, kind of do that. I do want to address evacuation routes. Before 2015, before a lot of the work that's been done, there wasn't an evacuation plan for the entire county. We've worked hard through the Risk Reduction Authority with the clerk and other things. We started with a pilot program in the Riviera areas where we got a small grant with the HOA and through the RRA clerk. We really worked hard to do that. But recently there has been a grant that's been awarded to get an entire evacuation plan for the county as you're moving through that. So it'll be built, and, you know, obviously there'll be a lot of training opportunities, but over the next few years, you know, it's being worked on as we're talking about it through community meetings. So a lot of work has been done. We've learned a lot of things since 2015, and evacuation routes are really important. And in coordination with CAL FIRE, it's having masticators to clear over the roads, make sure if it is burning on all sides, it's not burning right up to the side of the highway. Public Works has got a masticator over some of the grant that we had gotten for the pilot program. CAL FIRE's got a new masticator, so there's going to be work done, and the South County has been part of that prioritization and some grants for Western Mine, Jerusalem Grade, St. Helena, those types of things as we're moving through that process. So you'll see more of those, and the evacuation planning should be moving forward expeditiously, you know, over the next couple of years. Something we did not have, and we all went through that and understand how scary it was when you sent your family, thought they left 5 hours ago, then you get a call that they only made it over the mountain 6 hours later. So learned a lot from that, and there's a lot of work being done. So I just wanted to address that for you.
Thank you.
Mike Yamamoto again. Just a point of clarification. Did I hear you say that you weren't aware of when PG&E was going to be done with their project and when it was going to be completed? I thought everything went through Caltrans, not through PG&E. Did I hear something wrong?
You know, I'm not familiar with that project myself, so.
No, I understand what you're saying. Are you saying that PG&E doesn't go through Caltrans to get approval to rip up roads?
Oh,
sorry.
are you talking about fiber optic?
Yeah, the fiber optic project.
You know, good question. You know, I worked on.
No, I'm just asking a question as to whether or not PG&E works with Caltrans and coordinates material, you know, the construction time, the period of time it's going to be put together.
It is, I think, run through the California Department of Education, I think, or training. I think it's the broadband middle mile. It's Caltrans.
I understand that, but who coordinates when we're shutting down the road?
I think our encroachment permits office would approve those.
So it is Caltrans.
Or they would go through a QMAP process.
So it is Caltrans.
Yeah, it's a big organization.
I understand that, but so the next question would be then, why don't you know these dates? No offense. I don't work on the project. I understand. I'm just curious. I'm hearing two different things here. I'm hearing I'm Caltrans, but it was a PG&E project. I know that. And why didn't they coordinate with you in terms of when construction will take place?
I'm probably not the right person.
You know, I realize it's PG&E, but, you know.
Yeah.
So, okay. So you don't have a response for that is what I hear, right? I can talk to someone. All right, great. Thank you.
Any other questions from the audience for Jesse? Okay, seeing none, Robert?
Robert again. I'm just wondering about Butts Canyon, and I don't know, I guess that would be under county or the Caltrans, that bridge is too narrow for that road. So how can we address that to get that fixed? Because we have big rigs that go to Guanac all the time. So does that have to be addressed at another time or another department?
So is that the bridge on 29, or is that the?
No, Butts Canyon.
Butts Canyon Road.
And it's very narrow.
That would be a county question.
So we have, yes, we have Glenn March here from the county, from Public Works, our new Public Works Director, and I think he'll be able to address that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Is that it?
Any other questions for Jesse with Caltrans? Okay, perfect. Okay, and before, yes, I'd like to thank Jesse and Izzy. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And before I turn this over to Glenn, I would also like to ask Danny Wynn to come to the mic here and just briefly introduce yourself. As we will be hearing Math Group, we'll be inviting Danny to come and speak to us at a later meeting. So while he's here, I just want him to introduce himself, let you know who he is and what he does. Thank you.
Hi there. Yeah, I'm Danny Wind. Like I said, I hope I didn't break that. I will work on that while Glenn March gets started.
You do not have a PowerPoint, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
We're gonna. Yeah.
We can spread out.
I should have just taken it out of the darn thing.
You're fine.
Oh goodness.
I'm fine.
You're fine.
Get it out now, right? Yeah, I'm Danny Wind. I recently did a talk at the Western Region Town Hall. I'm a member of the nonprofit Strong Towns. Pretty low stakes membership if you're looking to join up. They collaborate with a lot of other groups like AARP on some of their livability stuff. I recently nominated a crash that happened in Nice for a crash analysis studio, which is their program. It's sort of like a root cause analysis for an accident that happens with the intention of preventing future accidents from happening in the same place. And there's a myriad of different ways to go about that. If you want to look it up, it's just called the Nice Crash Analysis Studio. If you look up Nice Crash Analysis Studio, should be like their 16th, and they've got a whole bunch more coming, and they already have done a bunch. I am also on the District 1 Pedestrian and Bicycle Advisory Committee for Caltrans with one other member of Lake County who serves on the Western Region Town Hall. And that's part of the reason I'm here tonight, is to hear some of these multimodal projects and expansions on the highway and stuff and what's going on so that I can keep myself informed. I met with Monica before here shortly just so we could kind of get a feel of the area, because I don't get to walk Middletown that much because I live in Lakeport. So I just spent some time, and if you guys have any, I was taking notes while you guys were talking, but I would love to get some further feedback in the future. And if you're already thinking of problem intersections and stuff, save it for the next time I'm here, and we'll have some great conversation, hopefully. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Danny.
Thank you.
And now I would like to introduce Glenn Mart, our new Public Works Director in Lake County.
So my presentation was supposed to end at 8:10, and I see it's 8:14 now, so I'm going to keep it to 2 minutes. So I've been at the county for 11 weeks, and so far it's drinking through a fire hose. It's a lot of information, and I'm trying to digest it. So the Department of Public Works primarily takes care of the roads and bridges. Currently, we have 10 projects in some phase of construction, either starting or ending or in a warranty period. We probably have about 10 projects under design, and by the end of this year, I would like to have another 20 under design. So by the end of this year, we should have 30 projects under design. Most of our projects are bridge-related projects. There was easy bridge money to get, and the county took advantage of that. We have a lot of projects to finish up, bridge projects to finish up. We also have some landside projects that we need to finish. So one of the biggest things I noticed upon arriving is our team needs help. So we have several openings in our engineering department, and we are looking for project managers. And in each one of these public meetings, I do emphasize that the county has great positions open right now in all different departments. We have sheriffs, deputy sheriff trainee positions open, accountants, office administrators, and the most exciting one I see is a museum technician. I don't know what it does, but it sounds like it'd be a fun job. If I would be into it. All right. So the Board of Supervisors and the Chief Administrative Officer has given the Department of Public Works direction to develop a 10-year capital improvement program. So we are currently working on our 10-year capital improvement program. So we will identify all the 50 projects we have ongoing right now, and we're going to project out additional work through the end of the 10-year term. So that should be available next spring for discussion. It is a major planning effort for our department, and they take a significant amount of time and effort to put together. So that's what I'm concentrating on. I've identified a few other needs. One is hiring staff, so I'm changing engineer positions to non-engineer management positions because we have such a hard time finding engineers, but we do need people to manage our projects. You will see that I'm working with the Chief Administrative Officer. We are going to issue an RFP for on-call grant consultants to help us write grants for all the departments that are interested in the county. So I've initiated this because it's very important to go after grants for roads. They're a little tougher to get, but that is my commitment to the county, is find more money for more infrastructure. And that was part of my commitment to the board during the interview process. Capital improvement program is a big effort, so we are fast at work at that. The multi-use path is going to get finished up in the next month or two. We have the contractor going to complete some paving, and they have to do some culvert work and some miscellaneous other odds and ends. But we will get finished with that in the next few weeks, I hope. In the next 2 years, we're going to replace the St. Helena Creek Bridge at Wardlaw Street. And those are the two big projects here in Middletown. Talking about safety projects, we are doing some pedestrian walkways around schools in the county, as well as the speed signs. We're going to be installing speed signs at 48 locations in the county. You have to give me a few more weeks of working here to figure out where they're going. I would like anyone interested in the roadway safety on the county roads, at the APC website, there is the local road safety plan. The APC is updating that local road safety plan this year. So if you are aware of, you folks should be the most aware of safety issues in this community on the local roads. So it's your opportunity to give input. So please take a look at that.
Can you state where?
Oh.
Can you state where we can find that?
The APC website,
Okay.
and it's right on there. There's a link to it right on their homepage. So. We also do encroachment permits for PG&E. I don't know if you saw the grand jury report. We were admonished very heavily for the interaction with PG&E and how we need to, how they asked us to do more oversight. So right now we have a very inexpensive permit fee that do not cover our costs. And I will be proposing through the auditor that we actually charge PG&E actual cost for our oversight. So we'll be able to staff those more appropriately with additional staff. And as far as timing,
Excuse me, my question was, I don't understand.
yeah, hold on, let me just say this, and then we can talk about it during the question time.
Yeah.
So as far as our encroachment permit staff, we support PG&E's projects. PG&E hires contractors, and they work with PG&E to determine a schedule. So we may not be involved in this. We are not involved in the scheduling process. We are involved in the support process, right? So we take a lower role in those processes. So I just wanted to mention that because it was mentioned earlier. As far as bridge replacement goes, if there's a specific bridge you wish to inquire, reach out. We are working on 12 bridge replacement projects right now, approximately. So we are addressing the bridges that are in poor condition first. So that's our approach. And I'll open it up to any questions. Okay. And you all have 1.5 minutes for questions, because we got to wrap this up.
Great. Again, Mike Yamamoto again. No, my question was really directed to Caltrans to understand what PG&E had determined was the schedule for the completion of the project, starting the project, completion of the project. And what I overheard from Caltrans, maybe you have the answer, was what is the schedule? And they didn't seem to know.
They're not the right people
Okay,
to answer that question.
Then who would be the right person? That's
It
what I'm
would be
trying-
their encroachment permit department, like we have an encroachment.
So you would have the information.
My encroachment permit department would have a better understanding
okay.
of it and they could reach out to PG&E and get that information.
Well, wouldn't they have that
So
now?
we don't have anyone here from the encroachment
No, I understand,
department?
I understand
No,
that.
it's PG&E that has the information. They hire the contractor, we support PG&E. If we want to get information about PG&E, we reach out to PG&E.
Okay, I just want to understand the hierarchy in California. I was always underneath the impression that Caltrans kind of ruled the roofs when it came to our roads. I guess not, so my
Well,
apologies.
we have to support our partners, either the telecommunications companies, the electric companies.
All I'm suggesting is that there's got to be a way to communicate when the project is starting, when it's going to be ending. Again, there's always slippage, but,
Yeah.
you know, it'd be great to have that
Okay.
information. And at
Yeah.
least information posted too. Because the other question I had for Caltrans was, do you post your information with the CHP? And the answer was yes, but when I called the CHP about the PG&E project and said, when is this going to end? They didn't have an answer, even though they directed me to the CHP. Okay?
Yeah, that would be,
Okay.
they would know even less than I would, so.
No, again, that's my whole point.
Yeah.
Without that roadmap, we as civilians don't know. And we don't do this all the time, so it's not for me. And by the way, I have a response for you with your HR question, but I'll do that offline.
Sheriff trainee?
Pardon?
Are you interested in the sheriff trainee position?
Actually, I was part of the grand jury that proposed the training program
For
for the sheriff's department.
okay, I didn't read that one.
Hi, I'm Judd Hodges. Welcome
Judd.
aboard.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. So I live on Butts Canyon Road, and Robert had brought up the bridge there on Butts Canyon. It's really a hazard. About once a week, I have a car almost clip me right there. And so I'm wondering if you can reprioritize the work that you're doing on the St. Helena Creek Road, which is kind of a historic bridge, right, that has very little traffic, as opposed to Butts Canyon, which is a major artery, and with the MAHA project, it's only going to get worse. So if you need to prioritize something in our area, that's a hazard and it needs to be addressed. Also from any kind of evacuation status.
Is there a cross street it's near?
It's
Or
next
the
to the
creek?
Goat Ranch.
Next to the
You
goat
see the
ranch?
Goat Ranch, you'll see it.
Okay.
It's at an awkward bend.
So how the program works, we identify a bridge, apply for money, and that's our priorities.
Sure.
So,
Okay, but I'm just saying that if you're doing St. Helena Creek, this is a road that doesn't, or a bridge that doesn't get a lot of use, as
Right.
opposed to thousands of people.
Yeah.
My other question, and maybe you can direct me, we live at the end of the long straightaway right before Oat Hill Mine Road, and there's that sharp bend. The traffic is so fast going through there that when I pull out my driveway and my neighbors pull out that driveway, we have a lot of close calls. So I'm wondering, how do we get the speed reduced to 45 in there, and or signage, double lines, whatever. But that little section from my ranch towards town, there's a handful of driveways, blind driveways that come out. So how do we get that prioritized?
how do we get it prior? We add it to the capital improvement program.
Okay.
So-
Now, do you do that, or do I go on the website to do that? How do I
Well,
initiate that?
what I would do is, we have a road complaint webpage. And that is my means of holding our department accountable. So we log in all the complaints, whether you call us or you go to the website. It's better if you go to our website so we don't lose anything in translation, and you provide your contact information there.
Okay.
So I have started scheduling a monthly meeting with my staff to go through all the road complaints that haven't been addressed. And we will have somebody reach out to residents more often than they did in the past. So that's my commitment, to work with my roads department and addressing road complaints, whether we can take care of it now, or we can take care of it in the future, or it's an unreasonable request.
Okay.
So,
And then I would just go to Department of Public Works, Lake County.
yeah,
find that.
if you do Lake County road complaints, it'll pop up.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Linda Deal Darms, hi.
Hi.
Glad to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Over 3 years ago, I was asked by M.A.T.H. to map the stop signs that I remembered because I grew up here in this area. I mapped it, I turned it in October or November of last year. I reached out to Public Works to find out what was going on with it. There was a lot of back and forth where it wasn't being given to the person it was supposed to be given to, and so finally I was told it was okay for me to go directly to Public Works, so I did. I talked to your engineer. He had been down here. As soon as he got the map, he engineered and knew where there should be stop signs. He sent me the correspondence. He had to look in his archives because nothing ever happened with it, so he archived it. And we have a charter school with no stop signs around it. There's one. We have several intersections that are very busy that he had marked as needing stop signs. So I just wondered if you knew about that project and what we should do about that, because they're really needed here. We need some stop signs.
So, we had actually a licensed traffic engineer.
Mm-hmm. That's who I spoke with.
John.
Mm-hmm.
Is it John? So, any new stop signs require a study. So, and if you don't conduct the study, if we don't conduct the study, the county could be very liable for damages if someone gets injured out there. So what I need to do is find that information. And if you have it,
I do. I can forward it to you
that
if
would
you'd
be
like.
great.
Because my understanding is the study was done, and he archived it because nothing was happening.
Yeah.
So I will send, that was my understanding, but I will send it to you. I have it.
So September 9th, we talk about safety. There's an opportunity to apply for a Highway Safety Improvement Program grant. And I had intended to do a signage improvement plan based on APC's sign inventory. If you go on the county website, the APC website, you can see that sign inventory. But it primarily addressed the existing sign and the conditions of the existing signs. So this is a good opportunity to incorporate that information into,
That would be great. And
into a grant request.
my understanding was that the county has a policy in place that for each stop sign there has to be an ordinance. What's that process?
So that's part of the traffic study.
Okay.
So if it's been done correctly, that study is on record.
Okay. And your email address, is it just on the county website?
I'll give it to you. It's
okay.
glen.march, M-A-R-C-H.
Wait, J?
G.
Oh, G.
Glen.
Oh, Glenn, okay.
.march, M-A-R-C-H.
Okay.
At lakecountyca.gov.
Okay. I will send you that.
Okay.
Thank you.
My
name's, yes?
When we spoke before, you said some of those signs burnt in the fire and weren't replaced.
Some of them burnt in the fire, some of them got hit by cars. Through the years, they just have never been replaced.
Okay.
So-
Well, that's easier. That doesn't require a study.
That's, yeah.
And I marked those on this map, but supposedly there still needed to be a study, so I don't know.
Yeah. Send it to me, and our road guys have been around for years and years and years, and they would have a very good understanding of what has been there in the
Thank
past.
you.
Sure.
Helen Owen.
Hi, Helen.
And I have some questions about some of the county roads throughout the county. I've been going out driving a lot of the county roads to see what kind of shape they're in. Pretty poor. Matter of fact, this weekend I had somebody come down Jerusalem Valley. They were staying at Six Sigma, and they were coming riding at my ranch, and went through a pothole on Jerusalem. No, not Jerusalem. What's that? Spruce Grove, and blew out a tire. So some of these county roads, and some of them aren't even paved, or there's been sections of paving taken out, like on Big Canyon, 3 miles of the paving has been taken out. So just start logging those on
Oh, yeah.
to your account. Okay, and I know Jerusalem Valley, there's a bridge that I don't think they can get fire trucks across it.
Okay.
It's definitely need. And then in Lower Lake by the school, there by the high school, they've been trying to get that issue. It's a safety issue. They need some lighting, some, lit up signage. And so they need some help in that area too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Log everything, so
Okay.
the staff does a great job.
Okay, but I didn't know if there was a plan to be able to get through all of these roads that's on the books already, or I don't want to redo work that's already been done. Do you have a map that's showing what you guys already have on it, and we just need to add to it?
So unfortunately, right now, our road department spends most of its time addressing complaints.
Okay.
So one of my goals is to work on being more proactive with our maintenance crews. They really do a great job. They want to do 40 miles of chip sealing next year. So they're a really impressive group. We just need to change focus a little bit, be more proactive.
Okay.
And that's sort of my
So if I
intent
were to
do
come
in
up
spring.
and schedule an appointment with you, can I look at your maps and see?
We
what-
don't have maps.
Oh, you don't have maps?
I'm
okay.
just saying, right now, our teams are driven by that complaint log,
Okay,
and
that's
that's
good to
what
know.
they're focused on,
Okay,
unfortunately,
okay,
right?
perfect, thank
So-
you.
Okay, any other questions for Glenn March?
All right,
I think you're off the hot seat.
yeah, you did tell me that.
Thank you so much for coming, and welcome again to Lake County and to the department. Okay, so we are past our ending time. We will try to move through the next few items on our list as quickly as possible. So first up is we have the approval of the meeting minutes from the last meeting, July. The minutes. Thank you. We have a first, second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second and a third. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Was that a no? Was that somebody was opposed or? No, okay. All right, so moving on. Let's see, I guess we have to take action on that. Yeah, so we're done. Okay, Zoom. Okay, Zoom is an ongoing dilemma, and so I did want to bring this to the membership to have a vote on whether to Zoom or not. So as we were at the July meeting last time, and there were a few of us on the board that didn't realize that we were Zooming, including myself, who is in charge of the agenda, and we do need to put that on the agenda if we are going to Zoom. We have had up and down with Zooming, just a brief history, but through 2023, we've it's been up and down as far as the level of success with Zoom. So with there are benefits, of course, and disadvantages with Zoom. If we advertise that we're doing a Zoom meeting, or even with PEG TV, according to the Brown Act, that if we can't fulfill that, then we have to stop the meeting. So, or cancel, or we cannot take any action on items because we do have to make the meeting available as advertised. So again, with our internet capability, it comes and it goes. There is, of course, PEG TV can do some things to make it accessible at every meeting. So we can see what we can work with that to have a reliable internet service. So with that, there is a couple of other problems with, I'm just trying to kind of quickly review some of the positives and disadvantages of Zoom. Again, it's a community outreach, of course it allows us to connect with more people, but also Zoom has in the past been, excuse me for the folks that are out in the entryway. Thank you. So with Zoom, one of the disadvantages is hacking, which has happened at the county board of supervisors level as well as some other advisory meeting level. So, I'm not sure, I'm not an IT person, I don't know what the, how we can restrict the hacking. So with that, I would like to open it up for public comment before we take a vote on whether we will move forward and try to accommodate Zoom in this meeting along with our PEG TV approach. So, and again, PEG TV is live streamed, but it's not an interactive form of communication. It is available, people can participate through live streaming and watching this live, and then it's also available via YouTube following the meeting. Zoom, of course, has that interactive capability, but it also is, or can be sometimes disruptive, but, we see who's here in the room. We don't know exactly who's on Zoom because we don't have access to a big screen, to see who's on Zoom. So anyway, those are just some of the good, bad things. And again, open it up to public comment, and then we need to move to vote on this issue. Thomas, I see you have your hand raised. You would like to add something?
Yeah, so that I can elaborate on the Zoom capabilities. So the hacking deal, I can shut people down on Zoom. So that's not an issue. The capabilities, so for example, tonight we've been very lucky with the internet working 30 minutes before your meeting started. The internet went down. No idea why. PEG TV purchased a Starlink system. I came from the south, from Santa Rosa area today, did not have it on board, so I was not able to set the Starlink up. In the future, I will be able to do that. The live stream she's talking, it's not actually a live stream, it's live via YouTube so that people can watch on YouTube live as it is happening. The Zoom, we have the capabilities. However, like she said, Zoom's not always reliable. I mean, the internet could be one of the deals, but Zoom itself crashes quite often. This is my experience using it. It crashes quite often. Some of our other municipal area council meetings have put in there a little, kind of like hyphen thing that when available, because we live in a world of technology, and even Starlink, as great as it is, we sometimes experience low speeds. This Earth is constantly moving, and so are those satellites. And we could be set up and have a really good connection, and during our meeting, we kind of lose, our upload. And upload is more important for streaming than download is. Most everyone here who does stream knows that their download speeds, that's how you're able to watch a movie. And if you have good download speeds, you don't see that ever wheel that spins around called buffering, that we all hate that. And so hopefully this kind of opens up everyone's eyes. For the Zoom, do I want to make it? Yes, I want to make it happen for you guys. This is the way it can happen. However, we cannot predict technology. It's impossible. And there we go.
Okay, thank you. Fletcher Thornton?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. For the last 12 months, at least, I've been paying attention to Zoom and how many people use Zoom for our meetings. Given the number that people that take advantage of Zoom and the inconsistency of the broadband, I just don't think it's worth the effort at this point. Now, if we get the middle mile, whatever the hell that is, middle mile done and the end miles, we get good broadband, it may be something in the future we'd want to do that would be dependable. But from going out 175, where our internet works about 10 to 15% of the time. So I think that right now, I don't think Zoom's a good deal for us, but it's not an emotional subject. I just think we ought to step back and the number of people that use Zoom, and I can't remember more than 3 or 4 at any time, at any meeting. So my recommendation is that we hold a vote on it and see what the body thinks. Thank you.
Thank you. Julia Bono?
Julia Bono, yes. At the last meeting, I spoke out about wanting to get Zoom back. I then found out that we actually had Zoom, but the reason that people aren't attending via Zoom is that no one's been given the link. So because nobody had the link, or if the link was being given, it was being given in such a way that nobody understood that it was a link. Even highly technical people did not understand that a link was being provided, such as myself. That explains the low attendance. Obviously, when we had the link being provided every week on the emails and on the Facebook pages, we had a higher attendance. So this is something that, you can't look at the week, the months that have been gone in the past. It's not a good sample because nobody knew there was a link. Anyway, also, I don't know if you've looked into it, but Verizon Home Internet is available now, 10 gigabits. You just kind of plonk the thing down, plug it in, and you've got internet. I don't even know why you're going with Starlink if we have this. It's 100 by 10, and it should be more than fast enough to handle a Zoom call.
Okay, you're directing questions here.
This is technology that we could be using if Starlink is flaky, which it's available. There's a tower right over there. We tried to stop it, but it's there, so we may as well use it.
We need to have something that's county-wide, not for just one certain area. That's why we chose Starlink. It is the most reliable in the nation. There's nothing compares to it. Even Verizon themselves do not compare to at all.
Okay, let's
Well,
move
if you
on.
like, I'll bring in my Verizon box, and if your Starlink goes down, we can use Verizon. The point is that there are alternatives, and the thing is, if somebody's sick, like if one of the board members are sick or something, we could easily like we had Lisa at home the other week. We can have her participating by Zoom, which she did. But everybody should have that option, not just Lisa. It should be for everybody who's not well can attend via Zoom. We've had a pandemic. Occasionally people don't get well, and that if they do come unwell because they've got an important item on the agenda, we're all at risk. I think Zoom is an absolute essential element for meetings of this type at this point in history.
Okay.
We don't have an option. It's the best option. And we should be using it. We already have it. We have an operator. We have internet most of the time. If you want to put in a when available clause, then I think that would make sense. A when available clause. That would overcome some of your objections, which I did here. Okay, so I think I've said everything I need to say. If you need any more technological advice, let me know.
Thank you. Rosemary?
So, speaking of technological advice, I want to thank you, Ken, for getting the agenda thing fixed, and I got it, and you did such a great job, and I love that you were communicating, like, is it working? So, thank you so much for your good work.
Thank you, Rosemary. Okay, any other comments on Zoom before we take this to a vote? Or then I'd be open to, entertain a motion. Okay, there's no other comments, so I'm willing to entertain a motion regarding Zoom. Okay, so we have a motion, and who was the second on Linda's motion? Oh, Fletcher, I think Fletcher was for, that's okay. All right, you won't fight over the second, thank you. Okay, so, we have a first and a second. All in favor? All in favor of the motion? Say aye, or show of hands would be good. Okay, somebody can count.
This is the one do not have Zoom, right?
Yes.
That's
Yes,
the motion?
correct. Can somebody please count hands? One of my board members here, please.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10.
Okay, 10, yes.
And did you give me two?
About 10.
Okay, about?
10. Well,
11
11.
plus
okay.
Monica.
Okay,
11.
okay. All of those opposed to that motion? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the 11 has it. So we will, at this point in time, no longer have Zoom. So moving on to the next item.
You had another motion on the floor.
It, yes, by that one motion going forward, with the number of show of hands, there is no need for the second motion. So the next item on the agenda is the annual report to the Board of Supervisors that was requested. This is basically just informational to let you know I did have them move that out. They've agreed to have us come and present December 3rd. So as I told them that we have a lot of things happening with the area plan, you know, right now, and all of other information that we would like to attend to. Next item on the agenda is the correspondence.
Madam Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Thornton?
Yes, could we get Secretary?
Sorry?
I'm just thinking of time.
Yes.
Could we get the Secretary to tell us whether there's anything emergency on that correspondence? And if not, put that correspondence off for now. It's getting late.
Yes, there are a couple of things. That's what I would like to run through them quickly. So, and yes, then we'll ask Ken that. But first off, it's the Gwinnett Valley Mixed Use, ERI, that is out for review now. And this environmental review basically has to do with the changes that the project has undergone following the lawsuit in regard to this project. So, and the deadline for that is September 3rd. So there is on the email or on the agenda, I've listed the address where you can send the comments for that, but individuals can comment on that ERI. So please do so by the deadline of September 3rd. The other thing I want to mention about that is I did talk to the representative or a partner of the project. His name is Kevin, anyway, his name is Kevin, and he would like to come and talk to us, but basically they don't want to, they want to wait until the ERI approval has gone through, and then they'd be more than happy to come, and whether we want to call a special meeting or what have you. So anyway, just throwing that out there. There will be a Gwinnett Valley hearing announcement that we all need to keep an eye on. The other thing I wanted to mention is Val Nixon with the Lake County Land Trust will come and speak to us about Rabbit Hill. She's requested to come and wants input from the community of what we'd like to see on the Rabbit Hill area. The general plan and area plan update. We will have Maria Turner here from the Community Development Department next month to talk to us about the process and answer any questions. But in the meantime, there is, in regard to the general plan, there was just a couple of open houses that were held August 5th and August 6th. There is a webinar on August 13th and August 15th that if you'd like to tune into that, please do. There is on the Lake County site, the Lake County government, or Lake County government site, there is a link to, or you can go directly to Lake County 2050 and that will have all the information about the general plan and area plan updates, and it also has a survey on there that I encourage all community members to check out the survey, because that's where they're gathering information from the community in regard to what you want to see here in the community. So please check that site out. The other thing is the Board of Supervisors did appoint people to the various different area plan committees that they approved. And the approval process for that, the Board of Supervisors had agreed on certain guidelines in the formation of those committees. One, that each committee would have 9 members, and that the residents would live in the area that they're serving on the committee, and that 3 seats would be designated, 1 for tribal, 1 for environment, and 1 for this group right here for math. The rest of the seats of the 9 are all at-large members. Now, I find it interesting, and this is my personal opinion, as far as with the designated seat for math, this organization, as many other municipal councils in the area, operate as we do, that this board has no power and no authority to speak without input from the entire membership. So we have a seat, as I asked, Bill Waite has been assigned the math seat on this committee, so which he's an excellent candidate for that. But as I asked him before the meeting, as he said, because you do on the application, you put on the application kind of, what is your experience in the area? He, of course, listed that he's vice chair of the math group, and so they automatically assigned him to the math seat. So he is our representative that currently has been assigned to the Middletown area plan, along with the following individuals: Larry Guadalupe in the tribal seat, Thomas Grossi at large, Melissa Kinsell, who's a Hidden Valley Lake member, at large, Elizabeth Rudiker, at large, Greta Zayat, how do you say her last name? Anyway, she lives south of town. She has served on the area plan in the past, and Shannon Sanders. So currently for the Middletown area plan, there are 7 members that have been assigned. As I understand it, our supervisor is holding off on the assignment of 2 additional people to an undefined time at some other date. Those meetings will begin here soon in August, and we'll hear a report from Maria on that at our next meeting. But again, those meetings will be held, and they will, and I hope Bill will help keep us informed on that, but they are open to the public. So anybody, whether you serve on that committee on the advisory committee, or you attend as a public member, your voice can still be heard.
Where will they be held?
That I do not know yet.
To be announced.
Yes. Through that site, the Lake County 2050.org. So that is the site that it has all the information about the general plan update and the area plan updates. The other thing so I'm moving on from that subject at this point, but again, in trying to hurry along here, the other thing I wanted to share real quick is an update on the Board of Supervisors met. They held a special meeting about the name change in Kelseyville for the town of Kelseyville. That I don't know how many people have followed that, but just letting you know that the Board of Supervisors, there's a organization called the Geographic Name Board that oversees the names of towns and cities and whatnot. And so there is a group called the Citizens for Healing that put forward to the Geographic Name Committee that they would like to see the name of the town of Kelseyville, the name changed because of horrific acts done by Mr. Kelsey in years past to our Native Americans. And so the Geographic Board has asked our Board of Supervisors to please respond and give some input. So that is why our Board of Supervisors held a specific meeting on that topic so that they could get feedback from the community, so then their response would reflect what the community wants. As you could imagine, there is much decisive, diversity in opinions and, in what to do about this subject. And so the board has decided to put it on the ballot, and it will be put on the ballot in November for county-wide vote. And that is why I bring this to your attention. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the Secretary real quick. Is there anything important?
In communications, Lisa Kaplan cannot be here tonight, but she wanted to invite you to and encourage everybody to come out to the grand opening of the 2024 Eagle Arts Sculpture Walk, and this Saturday, August 10th, 6 to 8 p.m., and it's free and open to the public, and it's very beautiful, and it's very special. So 6 to 8 p.m. this Saturday, August 10th.
Thank you. Okay, and we're moving on to public input. Linda is at the mic.
Linda Deal Darms. I just have a question, and I didn't want to interrupt you when you were going through this. We, as a body, had put a letter together when it was time for agencies for the MAHA project. Is that incorporated in what we're going to be seeing on the website that's open to the public, or is it still the same question? Like, we were concerned about the water. That was one of it, this well on Butts Canyon. What's that?
If the survey that...
No.
She's not talking about the survey. She's talking about the Gwinnett project.
Yes. So I know we're not going to have a meeting before 9/3.
Correct.
So my question is, do the people here that were part of that letter need to do individual around what that whole thing is with the well? Like for me, for instance, I figured that it was taken care of through M.A.T.H, but it's not. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, I would encourage individual comment, but also, let me say, you could propose, and you can put, because that is an action item, and I'm sorry I skipped forward on that, but you could make a motion that we resubmit that letter just to make sure it's on file from M.A.T.H, and asking, I'm just going to make a suggestion here, because we could resubmit that letter and just ask for items in our letter that apply to the EIR, that they do take that into consideration, that M.A.T.H still wishes for, those items to be considered. And
so I would like to make a motion that we resubmit that letter and that they put that into their consideration when they make the decision of what's going to go in it and what's going to go out of it.
Okay, before I take a second on that, because I have a gentleman right behind you, Ted.
I'll second.
I have some information that has some bearing on that.
Okay.
So, the Butts Canyon neighbors and myself submitted a letter also. And so we had some bullet points and the helicopter pad and the eagles and the nesting and all that stuff. And so I had quite the time with the county responding, and I said, where has this been addressed in the revised EIR? And so they directed me to a page with a paragraph that has a very cursory explanation from the 2020 EIR. So not addressed at all currently. And so the main reason I'm here today is to see if you've got any communication with your bullet points from them, a page number or an appendix or any response at all.
No, I don't.
Okay. So I think we have to be strategic and just submitting a letter is not gonna get us anywhere. I mean, I don't know what other recourse we have.
Because
But-
you have to read the EIR and respond to specific points.
Well,
So-
I get it, but you know, I feel
No,
I'm getting blown off.
I understand.
And so that's why I asked you, Linda, to try to talk to one of the project managers with the project to say, tell us about the flight plans. How often are you flying helicopters over my house? I mean, that's a safety or at least a courtesy. What's the noise level? Well, they say the noise level can be mitigated. Well, how is it going to be mitigated? So as a resident that's directly looking at the helicopter pad out from my couch, what do I do? How do we communicate that? Because I know what's going to happen when this public hearing period is over. Okay, it's over. We're moving. This project is going. Won't. And then, you know. So I'm throwing that out to. I don't know if this is the forum for it, but what do we do?
Well, where else do you go? I mean, here's it.
The Board of Supervisors.
Board of Supervisors?
Uh-huh.
They're our representatives. Squeaky wheel.
Well, nothing's changing at the Board of Supervisors this year, right?
He left.
Sure.
Yeah, so as I understand it, we probably should get clarification on this, but in the comments for this September 3rd deadline, as it says, is consistent with CEQA guidelines, section 15234D. Comments should be limited, it says should be, doesn't say it shall, so it says should be limited to the analysis of the draft PREIR. For questions or more information, contact the senior planner, Laura Hall.
Laura Hall. Well, Laura Hall is the one that I've been trying to get an answer, and finally got
Okay.
an answer from her. But
So, and for anybody else, Laura Hall, her telephone number is 707, or you can get her through the county, 707-263-2221.
Okay, my next question is,
Sure, I can get it to you after, Terry. Okay.
so after this 45-day period, if we wanted to challenge this EIR, how would we do that?
It's already been done.
Okay, so it's too late?
Now, if you challenge an EIR and they revise it and.
Okay, we need on mic, please.
You're being broadcast, so you gotta be onto the speaker so that everybody can hear that's being broadcast.
Okay,
listening
well,
in.
let me just follow this through, and maybe you can respond to it, Fletcher, because one of my concerns is the helicopter pads next to a bald eagle nest. Should I call the Audubon Society?
Call everybody.
Well, okay, thank you, I appreciate that.
Have them go.
But, because when we get to the Board of Supervisors for that hearing, it's too late. They'll have public comments there. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Correct, they'll have more leverage as far as, yes, if it moves through with the EIR, then those things that have been solidified in that process or whatever, you're right, will likely be approved and move forward.
Right.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah. So, is it too late for us as a community to make our voices heard?
To make changes to what they
Yeah, I'm just getting blown off on this. And it sounds like you were saying that they don't want to, Kevin doesn't want to talk to us during this period?
Yes.
Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
So I will, correct, yeah. They would, and I'm gonna assume that it's the same thing that I'd heard from their previous, person that was involved, that I would, again, this is just my own opinion, but I did hear this from Chris Meredith, who used to be the representative or the partner involved, who no longer is involved. You know, as he said, their attorneys advised them not to, do any public comment until after this process, yes, move forward. So, So I'm just assuming that still applies. So yes, what I can do in order to move tonight's meeting along here is to contact Laura Hall, or I'll contact Maria Turner with the Community Development Department and see if we can't get an answer about how we can more directly respond to that EIR, because we do have concerns in certain areas that apply directly to the EIR today, but also of past. So, because there are two portions of it. There's what was approved, like you said, in 2020, and there's the piece, the addendum, so to speak, that was now done following the lawsuit by the Attorney General.
Right, so a more forceful letter from M.A.T.H. and the Butts Canyon residents to the, I don't know. So maybe we could collaborate on that?
Yes. Yes, I think what we'd have to do is call a special meeting
Okay,
to do that before September 3rd.
okay. And then, so you'll reach out to Laura and?
Yes.
Did you CC me on that? And
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
All right, go team, huh? The underdog.
Okay.
Did you call for a second on that motion that's on the floor?
Well, I still have another speaker here, so because I do have
Mine's
to take.
really quick. Helen
Is
Owen.
it on this subject?
It is. I just wanted to know where I can access the EIR. Because
The Middletown Library.
is it at the Middletown Library?
That's what this agenda says.
Both the amendment and the original are at the library? Is that where?
It's, you know, if you go to the county site, for anybody who would like to review this, you go to the county site and they actually have a tab. At the bottom on their right-hand column for the Community Development Department, the last tab is Gwinnett Valley project. So that would have all of the information. Yes, Mr. Thornton?
Yes, thank you. First thing we ought to do before we make any comments on the revised EIR, read it.
Yes.
Read it, okay? Because the revised EIR is like she said, only deals with the items that were challenged on the original EIR. You can't go back on the original EIR and go through the whole thing again just because you weren't paying attention or they mitigated it in some way and it passed. Board of Supervisors have passed it. So first thing, get a copy of the revised EIR, read it. And if it doesn't bring up birds, you're dead in the water, okay?
So it is available on the county website.
Yeah, you can get the original and then get the revised and you'll find out what you can speak to. You can only speak to the revised portion, not the original. If people were able to go back to the original, they'd never get anything done because every time somebody wanted something different, even though they didn't even live here at the time it was done, it would be an ongoing thing. So get the revised version, find out what that says, and then come back to M.A.T.H. And then we can make a decision whether it's worthwhile or not.
Yeah, thank you.
Are you for sure that is the absolute legal, what you're saying?
Okay, we can't have this conversation, that's offline. So you guys can talk after the meeting. Okay, so let's see, we had a motion. Linda, can you repeat your motion, please?
Linda Deal Darms, and I would like to make a motion that we resubmit our comments that M.A.T.H. came up with, again, with a note to it, or somehow letting them know that they please take this into consideration, and that we would like to have some kind of feedback that they received it, and that it's notated.
That's too big of a motion. So, We have no control over them receiving it, or that's asking them to change their process. That's kind of like a different, a whole different thing. So, because they don't normally reply.
Resubmit the letter, please.
But
I'll second the motion.
Thank
Resubmit the
you.
letter.
Okay, so before we move forward with the vote, Julia, you have a comment? Again, I'm trying to take all public comment. Is this on this subject or something
No,
else?
different subject.
Different, okay, perfect. Okay, we have a first and a second. For those remaining in the room, all in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, seeing no hands, that is a motion that the secretary will record in the minutes and,
Yes.
and we will act upon. Okay, perfect. Now we are on to public input, I think.
Okay, yes, that's what I'm here for.
Okay,
Julie
ahead.
Bono, wanted to announce that the Rainbow Church of Living Light is holding a Freedom Feed. Free food, free music, all organic, free food and music. It is open to all people. We are especially looking to find people that are actually in need of food. So if you know somebody who is in need of food, please bring them along, or at least tell them about it. It's on this coming Saturday, August 10th, from 6 to 8 p.m. The address is 21065 Bush Street, right behind Tri-Counties Bank.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Nanette, I see a hand.
Don't forget about Friday night market. It's still from 5 to 8. Believe we'll change at the end of September into October to 4 to 7. And then also July 24th is the Blackberry Cobbler Festival on Cobb from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's on Gulf Road at the golf course. Thank you.
Okay, and I have an announcement about the, just want to remind people that the Lake County Fair is happening, starting at the end of the month through that first weekend in September. And most importantly, I just bring up this announcement to support our 4-Hers and FFA students, because we have many from Middletown that attend the fair. So just wanted to throw that out there. Any other public comments? Okay, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. I make a motion to adjourn. Thank you. Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? I don't see any hands left to oppose that. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for being here. Way to empty out the room.